Morning everybody. The next thing that we're going to have a look at is the current account of the balance of payments and calculating on the current account of the balance of payments whether we have a surplus or whether we have a deficit. Remember, if we have a surplus, that means that the money into the country from the trade of goods and services and income and transfers, overall the money coming into the country is greater than the money going out of the country. That will give us a surplus. If we have a deficit, that means that the money coming into the country, again the money from exports and imports on balance, and the money that's from income and the money from transfers. So overall, the amount of money coming in is less than the amount of money going out. When you know these two things, you can do what's written in this table here, this little activity. It's on page 232 in your OCR textbook. And what they want you to do is they want to say for each country, A, B, C, what is the balance on the current account. You need to work out what it is. So in this case, you can see we've got trade in goods here. It's all in billions of pounds. Trade in services, and then the balance of trade. The balance of trade is just looking, once you've worked out how much money is coming in, how much money is coming out for both goods, tangible products, which you can touch, and services, intangible products, which you can't touch. When you've added those together, what you end up with on balance. Then it's looking at income flows. That's money coming from the things which we remembered by DIP, dividends, interest and profits. That's overall money coming in from those from other countries and money leaving our country. And then transfers, that's overall people transferring money to people in other countries or receiving money that people have transferred to them into the country from other countries. That's like Western Union, what they do. When you've calculated all of these things together, that will show you overall what's happening on your current account, and it will give you your balance. Let's have a look at country A. So with country A, overall, the trade in goods, this is negative. That means that there is overall negative £20.2 billion, which means that overall is going out of the country. When you've looked at all the goods being imported and all of the goods being exported, overall there's actually money leaving the country. Then if we look at the trade in services, this is all of the money that we have coming into the country when we export services, for example, a pension product, and it's looking at all the money that's leaving the country when we buy a service from another country as an import. Money leaves the country, and overall in this case, which is actually the case in real life usually, we have a surplus in the UK on the trade in services in the last decade or longer, and therefore here, because it's a plus sign, that means that's in a surplus. So overall you can work out what your trade balance is by doing negative 20.2, but then you're going to add on, so that's making us a bit less negative, your trade in services plus 13.2, that surplus on the trade of services, and that gives us minus 7, so that we can see that our balance of trade for country A is minus 7. So that means overall for all of our trade, minus £7 billion is actually leaving the country. Then if we want to work out our final current account balance, we need to then also include income flows and transfers, because they're the other aspects on the current account. So we've got minus 7 is our trade balance, but then we've got plus 6.5 income flow, so we need to add that on. That meant that overall more money was coming into the country, £6.5 billion, rather than leaving the country on income flows. And then the final thing, we need to take account of the transfers. That was a deficit on transfers. Overall, it was minus 4. And that means that overall minus £4 billion was leaving the country overall. So when we add on the 6.5 and we take away the 4, we end up with negative 4.5. And remember, when you're in the exam, you need to put in your units, really important. That's in pounds. And it's also, it says it's billion. So make sure that you write both of those in. That's really important, otherwise you won't get all of the marks. Also, really important, this is a negative figure. Don't miss that out, and don't miss things when you're putting into your calculator, positives and negatives. You obviously don't need to put in the positives, just the negatives. And that's the answer for A.